Are we live? Are we live?
Looks like it.
Okay. Sorry, we're just having like massive internet issues this morning. So, welcome to YouTube University. Ask us anything. I think we're like week 54, and yeah, I'm on my phone hotspot. I'm on my phone hotspot right now because we're having some tech issues this morning with internet, and then Restream is just sitting here not letting me go live. But whatever. This is what we've been coaching everybody through is just showing up and being just showing up regardless of what goes wrong with technology, because as you're building an audience, not everything's going to be perfect. Lighting, audio, whatever the case may be, not everything may be perfect, and we got to roll with the punches regardless of what happens. I haven't even checked my social medias to see if this is live. It says we got one viewer, and we just go with it. So, good morning, Lucretia. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm okay. How are you?
Well, a
Besides
little stressed,
everything.
a little stressed out, saying, "Why is my Starlink not working? And why can't I get this?" And of course, it's like the first week, the first official week. We're like, "Hey, we're not gonna add Zoom in because Zoom adds tech issues." Well, we have tech issues regardless. So, without it, so whatever.
That's
um,
how it goes.
It's just how it goes, right? And but we're getting ready to get back on the road anyway. So yesterday was a day full of a lot of installing stuff and doing stuff at the trailer, and then whatever the case may be. So how we just saw you on Wednesday. So how have you played with Restream or planning your next live, or how's that process going?
I am playing with Restream. I have a bunch of like thumbnails and descriptions. I did those all yesterday, so now I just have to schedule them out for the next few weeks because I wanted to do all of June.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got those all done yesterday. So that's what I've been doing this morning is starting to get them ready to schedule. And then yeah, I'm kind of excited. I'm going to go live again on Tuesday at 2 and see how that goes. It's going to be my workshop again, so we'll see how like what the attendance is for that and what that ends up being. And then I'm going to see if possibly I might be able to do one more next week depending on timing of everything.
Okay.
On Thursday sometime. I don't know if it's gonna fit in, and I don't know what time I'm gonna do it at, but sometime before 3:30, I think, Eastern. Um, Anytime probably between 10 and 3:30, but I haven't settled on the time yet.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I keep checking my emails, like, obsessively, even though I will get an alert when I get a new email to come in to see if our registration has been processed, but, um, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as I said, I was you're live this week. I watched it because I was like, I did not even know that was something that could be done, right? So
Mhm.
it's just showing up for your audience, coming up with video ideas, and then learning how to, like, the more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna get with it. And it's realistically, it's information sharing, right? Because again, I'm in tech. I have a comment. I sent you comments because I was like, oh wow, I did not realize that that's literally something I'm doing a lot, is helping people organize their thing. And usually, of course, my tools. I think you were more so doing file organization of cloud storage, where usually I'm telling people to move to cloud storage, which um, involves cleaning up all their existing tech or computers or servers or whatever, and then showing them my old school tools of scanning a computer and discovering all the nuggets of treasures that they have forgotten on their computer. And I'm like, you got like 10 copies of this. I wondered where it went. I'm like, it's literally in your subfolder in your downloads folder because nobody ever checks or organizes their stuff. So I appreciate your skills on that.
I'm trying. I used to have everything, like, on my desktop, and then I moved everything to cloud when I got a new computer, and it's still, like, a mess. So I have literally folders of, like, desktop cleanup that I never actually cleaned up. So this is my goal to, like, get things cleaned up and moving better. And then that way, when your system goes down or you have to take your computer in for support and you lose it for a month, you can still access everything. Because that's how this happened is I had to send my computer in for service,
Ah,
and I didn't get it for yeah, like, I brought it in April, and I didn't get it back till June 7th, or
oh
no,
wow.
it was
Okay.
I brought it in April. They said they had to keep it for, like, 10 days. I brought it back in June, like, around June 7th sometime, and I got it back probably a month later. Yeah, it was a good month later, or right before I gave birth or something. I remember we drove up one night because it was ready, and we had to drive to London, which is our closest Apple store, so it's a 2-hour drive, which is why I didn't want them to take it, but,
Mhm.
um, like, I needed it, and I knew we were giving like, I was going in for a scheduled C-section, so we knew we had time. So, literally on one of Jesse's days off, he drove us up there because I wasn't driving anymore at the time. Because 'cause I'm 4'8" and I can't fit behind a steering wheel without, like,
Oh,
sitting super, super close to the steering wheel, so, like, being 9 months pregnant, I could not fit behind a steering wheel anymore. So he had to drive us up there so we could get my computer just so that I could do things. But, like, that's how all this started was because like, I had to work for my iPad, so I had to have everything in the cloud so I could still access everything and do things, but it's still a hot mess that I would like to clean up.
great story. See,
I
yeah,
I
no,
would
this is
say before you go on, I would say I'd like to say that's never happened to me, but it has where not that my computer's been gone for a long time, but where I've had to find workarounds as Mike is trying to fix or decide what we're gonna do with what I've done to my computer. So I get how that is and how innovative and how amazing it can be when you're like, "Wow, I'm still made it work even though I didn't have my normal setup." But it is tiring.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, I thought the browser that I used would, like, be perfect and come back the right way. It did not. So that's a whole other video that I wanna do on it, like, of itself, of, like, the workaround I did for that in case I ever lose it again, because I love the way it functions, I love the way I set it up, but I have to do, like, one extra step every time so that I still have it like, I can set it up the same way without spending days because it took, like, a good 2 weeks probably to set everybody back up, and still some clients that I don't touch all the time, I still haven't fully set that up their space or whatever that I work in. So, lots of content ideas.
oh, I can this is just document them all because that's literally what I was taught when we were when I was with the entertainment company. It's like come up before you do any well, this is their training. Make 100 ideas and flush them all out and pitch them like they're 100 oh when you're in Hollywood. Oh, what's the term when you're in Hollywood and you're pitching a show idea? Anyway, come up with 100 show ideas and full scripts and pitch them that way, and we'll pick the best 13 for your first Hollywood season. And I was like, there's so much disasters in IT I can write about, and but I really wanted to make stuff that was. I had a lot of experience, but I wanted to make like do DIY tutorial guides that would apply to anybody, right? So I was like, why do I want to take these random things I dealt with? I just so anyway,
Well, I
yes.
was gonna say, you actually are perfect for what we're gonna talk about today because we are gonna talk about expertise and having your own experiences and then having to fix them and then share them is a perfect expertise because that is things that other people will, things like that happen to other people as well, right? So that's a really good story of how you're sharing your expertise because that is a real part of it. But before going, I want to shout out, we have some people in our comments. Good morning, KWON6FB. I don't Hello and welcome. And hello, David. Welcome. So I wanted to say good morning to the people that are in the chat.
I'm just emailing the link, so that's why
Okay, because I can hear you clicking on the computer.
forgot to mute myself.
So I guess did you have any other questions or anything this morning since you're the one here, Lucretia?
My biggest question is just like around trying to figure out the right cadence or schedule of like posting out these ideas, because I want to, like, I'm doing my workshops, webinars, because that's like another great way to like grow the channel on there too. But then I'm also want to like keep up with like these content ideas and kind of sharing like how to's. And I've got a lot more stuff on like file organizing and like getting it more automated than what it is, but obviously I have to finish the cleanup first. But like, how do I schedule that? Should I try for more than one live a week, or like on the weeks that I do the workshop, or
Well, you wanna do something that you're gonna be able to sustain, right? And so I like, even with myself, like, okay, I know I started by doing just little 30-second clips that I would do every day of a card pull, right? And I was able to sustain that just showing up every day, doing a little card pull for 30 seconds, okay? And then I kind of adjusted from there. But that may not be realistic, right? Like, depending on your time and how you're feeling and your energy, we really want you to start to get consistent with at least one thing a week, that you're showing up consistently with that. And then, if you're feeling good in a week and you're like, "You know what? I've got some extra time. I wanna do this video," then start kinda adding them as you go. So I would say my recommendation, I don't know what Mike would suggest, but I would say get consistent with your one. And if there's weeks where you're like, you know what, I want to do a second or a third, do them for sure. Get them recorded. You don't have to live stream them, right? Because like we've talked about, you can record them on Restream and have them go up, because maybe one week something happens and you're not going to make it to your normal live, and then you've already got that content backed up. And then or you can always just use it as a secondary or third content for a week if you think it's relevant, right? So I would say go with how you feel, commit to getting that one for sure live your every week, and then add it up. Don't overdo it to something that you know have a difficulty showing up for, or then you start to get hard on yourself because you're like, oh, I want to have these 2 shows or 3 shows or whatever, but then you're having a hard time managing to show up for all of them. And in fairness, us doing 4 shows, I do not think that people should be doing 4 shows. That took a lot of us, a lot of development, and me going into a second show, and then Mike having the show and then going, well, I think we should make this other show. I'm just crazy. I'll just put myself in a crazy box.
The
What's your
funny
opinion,
thing
Mike?
is, and the funniest thing is, the whole reason we're doing 4 shows is it's to demonstrate the visibility engine fundamentals, but we're now starting to get people who want to join us on these shows. And I'm like, it's interesting because I'm like, they were, so I was like, oh, really? They're like, well, yeah, I want to join you. And it's like, I don't even know who you are, but thank you for being a fan. And let's discuss in DMs about your experience. And, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. So we're going frequent enough. I've got people coming and asking to drop in on the show. I was like, well, are you interested in, like, I was like, well, you can pay to come into the VIP room on the Zoom, on the Saturday morning tube. So it's doing something. People are interested, and I've got brand new hidden audience or brand new audience coming at us and asking to join us on this stuff, which is great. I wasn't really sure what to expect and what new relationships would be developed in farm. But hey, we'll see you, Lucretia. We'll see you next week because we're gonna come to your neck of the woods and then probably head south. So, how frequent your shows should be? This has all been built on sustainability and showing up at the same time. The broadcast TV principle, same time of day, and we've done this one. I've done 54 weeks in a row. So Has the presentation been great? Well, I've done it from a car. I've done it from the Disney parking lot. I've done it from a lot of parking lots. I've done Zoom with a lot of odd angles sitting in a parking lot. So production quality just increases, and you just put up with whatever tech issues you have. But being able to meet that schedule is super important. So and that's honestly where students have fallen off. They've put too much pressure on themselves to say, hey, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And I'm like, I want to see you one live per week, same day, same time. Get consistent with that. And then, we'll focus on shorts and building up, like repurposing everywhere. But I want the fundamental is just to get the content up on YouTube, build the audience, show up same time, same place, tell the audience when your new stuff's going to be coming out, and it's not going to be up to you. If you feel comfortable with doing twice a week, great. The other concept is, if you're not going to go live, you can, as we've shown you in Restream, you can go into the Restream room and pre-record, and then upload or stream a pre-recorded video. And I think that's what one of our other students at the Ghost Stories is going to probably just do pre-recorded, because there's a certain production level she wants to see, like lighting, angle, like there's just certain things certain people want. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Let's just go announce the event, schedule the event on YouTube. So for episode 234, your audience that you're bringing over from TikTok and the organic audience you're building on YouTube knows when to expect episode 2. So when you're
Okay.
go ahead.
On that, I wanted to show you, because I know you keep talking about one of the big things when we schedule it on Restream and how it shows up for your viewer, right? So I actually took a screenshot of my 2 reel that I got prepped in Restream and how it showed up on YouTube. So I wanted to show everybody how this shows up so your viewers do get notified. Here, let me just hide this one so I'm a little bit bigger. We're all going to go bigger. Woo. So you'll see here. I don't know. Let's see if it's there. So you'll see it. You'll see the thumbnail and then the title, and then you'll have that little notification button. So that was just as I'm scrolling through, the one shows that this is going to be a live. I can hit the notification, and then when we go live, then this account would be notified that I went live. So this will show up, and our live isn't until Monday, and it's already showing up, in the feed for that.
I think I accidentally turned on the slide.
Oh, there we go. There you go. So that is one of the nice things, that is literally kind of like your mini commercial of you being seen that you're gonna go live. You're already kind of getting announced. So anybody that starts to follow you, it'll start showing up on their home screen that you're gonna go live. They can be notified for it. If they go to your actual channel page, they'll have that ability as well. So it's just another way to let people know you're going live. So I wanted to show that because I thought that was exactly what Mike was talking about and had been telling people how they get notified. If you do notify me and you have your email option set up, people will get emails directly to their phone or whatever, their computer, if they have that part set up. But I guess our KW on 6FB is our Kirsten. Hello, Kirsten. Thanks for joining us.
I think on FB means she's watching this. She's commenting from Facebook. So,
well, except for it actually shows her commenting on YouTube.
Okay.
I know.
Well, I don't know, because I've had people text me this morning. It's like, where are you? And I'm like, my Starlink is out, and I didn't want to. And rather than playing longer with it, I'm like, hey, let's just jump on the phone hotspot, and then my internet works, and I'll just figure out what's going on later. So,
Well, as per the
which is funny,
and the
which is
feedback, we did not purposely go late to make
which
people
is funny because we might get a
anxious about it.
comment, which is funny because now I'm talking over you. So our commenter will come back saying you shouldn't have gone live because you were late.
That was legitimately what I was going to say, Mike. I was like, they're going to come and troll us and tell us that we purposely showed up late.
So let's just try not to argue, because then they'll say that we're an old married couple, which we are. No, Julie's thumbnail was, if you saw her showing it, she even mocked it up where she's got the little live icon in her thumbnail too. It's interesting because I know I've when I'm subscribed to people, um, and I'm not even. The reason we're doing this is to build anticipation, so your audience knows you go live. They may not remember the schedule until they go back to your YouTube channel and say, "Oh, hey, they do go live." Uh, if somebody ends up on your channel, or looking at it, the little icon will say you're live, and then maybe it's ingraining in your audience's mind that, hey, this person I like, this person I follow goes live regularly, and I should go figure out their schedule. Yes, if they're subscribed and they've got notifications on, they're gonna get an email. One of the reasons I love YouTube so much is that drip email that comes out from YouTube, and a lot of people I talk to, they're like, well, it's not that important. And I'm like, well, I think it is, because there are certain acquaintances I have who are not in this class, but we have private chats. And I said, hey, you've got a huge subscriber list, like in the hundreds of thousands. And if you were to actually reactivate your YouTube channel and schedule a live, or even schedule a replay or reactivation of your old content and schedule it, your whole list would be on notified that you went live. Maybe they don't care, maybe they do care, but those ones who are subscribed for notifications are gonna get an email from YouTube, and that email they get from YouTube is gonna say you are live, and it's gonna show the thumbnail that you gave to that event. And if that thumbnail looks spicy or clickbaity, it's going to redraw them back into your channel. I almost guarantee, I don't know what the rate of return would be, but if you got a huge list, like even a small percentage of that huge list would be reactivated to come back to your channel. And so the power of that visual coming, I think it's super cool that YouTube does that, because any business coach would be recommending that, like, how many touch points do you have with your clients on a monthly basis? And you're like, oh, hey, well, I text them, I have my manual email list. But then if you're leveraging that YouTube live notification list, when you've got an audience, right, it's just another touch point that you're not triggering, YouTube's triggering. But it's just, I don't know, I think it's cool that they do that. So
I actually have a question about the thumbnail, because my thumbnails I've been doing with like that live, like that show that it's gonna has that little live picture or sticker or whatever.
yeah.
And I was like, that's really great for like the day that I go live, but should I be changing that thumbnail after the live has happened? Or should I just keep it?
I don't know. I don't think Julie's
Well,
changed
the
any of hers.
the only thing that I ever do is I might test another one. So there is the option on the back end of YouTube where you can go test a secondary thumbnail or and
A/B
title.
test.
Sorry?
I said the A/B tests.
Exactly. You can actually do up to 3 or
Okay.
ABC tests you can do. So you can do 3 different thumbnails and 3 different titles, and you can have them with titles and emails or whatever. That's the only thing I've ever kind of done. Or I will change a thumbnail if I'm re-uploading it, trying to see if it'll get more action if I uploaded it and posted a different day, right? Other than that, I don't necessarily go and change them. It is important because it is part of how the user, which we're going to talk about as well today. It's like the 3 seconds a user looks at you. Can they tell with the thumbnail what you're going to be talking about, right? Will they want to go into it because of the thumbnail? Yes, no, it's hard to always say for sure, because psychological things of humans I have not mastered. And even with chat, and like we've used different platforms, we've used vidIQ software, we've used different ones. I don't know if there's like a really good key to thumbnails. Maybe, there is. I don't know. I have not mastered that. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, we had the YouTube. Lucretia, I think the most important thing right now is just to get, like, you know, the scheduled video launched every single week. Thumbnail, we're gonna, like, you'll see some channels that have millions of subs, no thumbnails, and I'm like, obviously they're celebrities, influencers, whatever. They got there just because out of their own celebrity, while the rest of us have to work for it. So, because I look at so many channels and I'm like, how did they get so many subs? And I'm like, there must have been some event, or they paid for they paid for traffic or whatever, right? But
Well, there
whatever
was
the
a
case.
time, remember, there was a time where that was not a big thing, right? There wasn't thumbnails. There, like, the early on in YouTube, many people and content creators that were early in on the YouTube train, it, like, I know one of them, it was it Jenna Marbles? I don't think she's even on YouTube anymore, but she was well known for having, like, one of the top YouTubers and never just let the algorithm post whatever weird picture she in whatever weird stance, and that didn't hurt her content, right? So there was a time where that wasn't a thing. So, but now everyone's distracted and everybody's
It's not distraction, it's the competition. You've got
true.
to read. This is okay.
Well,
So
and you're
let,
distracted by competition.
let's back it up. Why we've got this idea of scheduling your lives, scheduling your replays, scheduling that stuff is because you there's a section on YouTube where we want to make sure you get into looking. We want you to look forward to doing this stuff and build it up. And I think the thumbnails are just a pretty way to drive clicks, especially when somebody's new to your channel, because they're like, "Ooh, this is interesting." Like, obviously, you still have to, like, win them over with the content. So something else to work forward to. But I may have just lost my train of thought there. Let's see. Okay. Uh, the whole reason for the scheduling is that YouTube will display upcoming live streams on their program guide, right? You go and it will say, hey, today, here's what's starting. And we've seen some really small channels on there, like 20 people watching. And I'm like, hey, okay, so there's X amount of slots per day, or currently, like right now we're live, and I scheduled this, but I'm not looking at the For You screen on YouTube to see if this is showing up. But we can schedule into the future, and we're testing to just see, okay, how far can we schedule into the future to build that anticipation that we're always going to be there with this specific time slot, and we want YouTube to list it in the future. So it's just that one idea we have is, hey, can we build the anticipation by showing up in YouTube's schedule in the future, because there's 20 million videos per day added to YouTube. There's a ton of competition. I'm in technology and YouTube coaching. I got competition in both my fields. Like, I'm not the only YouTube coach out there. We're not the only YouTube coaches, cybersecurity people out there. There's a ton of competition. However, I can beat my competition by scheduling my stuff ahead of time on YouTube and showing up in that place. And yes, YouTube's got A/B testing built in. So you can test two different thumbnails at once to see what. Of course, you needed to have enough people come through and click on that video and watch through to actually do a proper A/B test. So that's why we need to focus on getting organic or paid traffic to your channel to watch those videos. And thirdly, we've sat in YouTube training. We're YouTube in the YouTube Partner Program. We get invites to exclusive training. It was probably, I think it was when we were stuck in California at Joshua Tree Park. I'm pretty sure it was that week where we, they had, Mr. Beast hasn't come up with his own thumbnails. He has somebody on his team specifically just does thumbnails. And we've talked about this before, where, I think he said on average, most of them, like, they're in over 12 thumbnail revisions. So one thumbnail they start with one thumbnail, and then when they're looking to boost engagement and they've changed their title or description a little bit, they'll add another one, then they'll add another one, and they're constantly split testing. And they've realized in all of Mr. Beast's thumbnails, he has to be in it. Supercar will get them to X amount of viewers, but then they drop that supercar at some point because it throws certain people won't click on the thumbnail if the super, and it was just certain, like, there's just certain things where they're like, hey, if we want to grow viewers, we add this, but it's not, but that imagery is not going to be in the final thumbnail, and you're like, that is, I'm assuming he's applying some level of psychology to that because he just had certain. I was like, that's a really interesting equation on how he's figuring out these thumbnails to get them from, let's say, 1 million views to 2 million views. I'm like, that's crazy for all of us who are just starting and getting comfortable with our show and our show structure and script and 100% looking at the camera every single time the camera's in front of you. There's a lot of things to grow and learn into and feel comfortable and have fun while doing that. We want this to be fun. We don't want this to be stressful. But hey, there's a lot of stuff to learn about finding out what content and how to present it to your audience.
And there is lots of content you can do. And so, like, I'm glad you have so many ideas, Lucretia, because then that's what's going to keep funding your ability to go live.
Yeah,
Is
fueling
having
your passion of filming yourself and, making, like, what I really wanted when I started my tech show was, I still have this dream. We have not, maybe I can do it now because I have an audience. When I started doing the podcast 6 years ago when I started filming, I didn't really, I had an audience, but not really an online audience per se. I wanted to do a live call-in for help show. So I guess this is what this has turned into. It's a live YouTube call-in for help show, but we don't
it
post
is,
it.
you did, you've pretty much created it, except for they have to type in their questions.
Well, it's good. There's just less distractions and less people I have to mute, right? And if you want to be in this private VIP room, then you just go get the instructions are to go to our website and help support us by paying to get into the VIP room, and then we'll email you the restream link to come and join us. So yes, okay, you dropped it in the comments. Yes, if you have any questions, this is a brand new format. We're like, hey, we're gonna go research. We teach restream in the visibility engine. We're gonna completely go cold turkey with Zoom because I hate Zoom, but that's okay. I hate Zoom. Restream, so it does some stuff for us and more powerful. And yes, we're if you want to get into the VIP room, if you have any questions about growing, I get a lot of DMs, which is great, but it's nice to have those questions brought up into the chat so we can discuss them real time with people. Maybe I'll go find one of my DMs and type in those questions because I've got a couple good ones this week.
Did you want to go over a couple of those first before we go into what I wanted to cover?
No, you can go ahead, and then if I find something good and juicy that doesn't specifically mention any one particular niche, I'll let you know. Because some of them were like really specific. It's like I do energy work. Well, there's like I do energy work, or I do this, or I do this. How would I even get started with this? And it's really write down the ideas, because once we get the ideas written down, we can start writing a script. And then you really just need to time yourself, because I can say go live once a week, and if you have no idea what you're talking about, most people are going to struggle and have stage fright in front of the camera. And they're like, I don't want this to be posted live. And I'm like, this is why we start recording yourself in private before we release stuff. Unless you're confident with the going live, then go live. But
Well, and it's practice, and it's also having an idea of what you're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about that as well, and about the scripting versus, like, if you're following a complete script and to a T, like you're a robot, or whether you're a little more natural, right? And those things will definitely help you. Do you have any more questions before we jump into this, Lucretia?
I don't know. I think that was
Okay, well, You know where to find us. We'll see you on Wednesday anyways, and you can ask us more questions. So, what I wanted to cover today was some of the big lessons for Visibility University and some of the stuff that I was finding online that really do help brand new creators as well as creators that have been around for a while. So we're going to jump into the 5 different things. And Mike, make sure you add some comments on what you think about them, because I know you kind of went through the screens, but let's start. So this one goes this goes there we go. Mike has been muted. This goes right into what I was talking about. Authentic beats perfect. So we have this major thing that is happening is that people don't want you to be perfect, because that's what we're seeing now. There's actually somebody Mike had shown me that she is now promoting that her entire content is AI generated. It's an AI generated clone of her. I don't know if she's actually writing her script or if AI is writing the script. I'm going to assume AI is also writing the script. She's playing with a lot of the AI stuff. So it's like kind of that questionable area. And at some level, we're not going to trust people that show up too perfect, because we're going to be like, is this an AI clone that's talking to me? Right. And so that is, there is already a lot of pushback on that. People want to know that they're dealing with real people, that this person actually knows what my what my problems are. They actually can resonate, versus the AI clone doesn't really know what the problems are or whatever that person was talking about, if that makes sense. What do you think about the authenticity versus the versus being perfect, like the perfect versus being authentic, Mike?
Well, you know what? It's actually, what are my thoughts on this? Because I understand why she did it, and it's really just for whether it's authentic or not. I don't know, because it's really I know this person's a real person, and um there's a lot of people who are promoting AI clones out there. So Lucretia probably knows of people promoting AI clones out there, and this is what people are using to create all their video content and do it so that it's not, a chore and they're showing up everywhere. I'm Whether it's authentic or inauthentic, it's a challenge, and I can understand for like video sales letters and webinars and that content that you're running, as long as your audience is aware. Like this person specifically has it on her YouTube that it's all, this is right, and it's likely a reason why. I don't know what YouTube's going to end up doing to that channel, because that's really it's kind of what I'm watching, because I'm like, hey, I know if you like, what is YouTube going to do with this channel?
Okay,
Because
well, I want to bring up, do you remember, because we've talked on the weekly astrology news show, Honestly Though, about the Pope talking in his big paper, his 45,000 word paper, about how humans want to skip the process of learning how to do things. And then you put a clone because it's easier than, showing up on camera and it looks perfect and all this. So we're like outsourcing our own self-image into something that isn't authentic. That is going to be interesting on what wins through this Uranus and Gemini period. So it'll be interesting to watch that. But currently, like having a perfect script, teleprompter, robotic delivery, overthinking, people are going to tell, right? Having a script, knowing what you're going to talk about, like we mentioned earlier, so important, because you need to know what kind of stay on track, have an idea what you're going to talk about, right? But being robotic, being, like thinking you need to be perfect, people want authentic. They want to see somebody who I know I appreciate when somebody, keeps in a blooper and shows me what it was really like. Oops, I tripped over that as I'm doing a delivery, right? Like, there is some appreciation of being a human talking to another human. And I think that's a very important part that we don't want to forget about, or I don't know, remove. I don't think so.
Yeah,
That's my personal opinion.
you know, that's exactly what I work with people with content, and you want to be authentic. If you're looking for something perfect, especially in today's world. If you're looking at something really perfect, you're like, okay, there's got to be a flaw, right? Diamonds or whatever you're looking at, and sometimes if you're a mess, that's okay. And too much correct. And again, you still have to do 10,000 hours. You got to learn. Anything you're going to talk about is got to be the 10,000 hour rule, right? I'm not going to talk about YouTube and how to do it. I'm still working through it. So when there's a technical problem, all right, hey guys, just deal with it. Sorry, too bad. You know, that's just how my style is. No, really.
It's okay. It's okay. You're talking to the wrong person. I can't help you, right?
Yeah, right. No, and that's the thing is you ask the questions, you learn you learn your stuff, and then that's what you do. Is just sometimes the imperfections become the perfection. Really what they're looking for. Those are your people. Anybody who's going to be that critical over certain things. That's why AI has a platform, has a way to do certain things, but it's not the answer. It's, if you're looking for that, you're still going to miss the gaps. It's those between the gaps that you're going to miss. And that's when people don't invest money on the in between the gaps.
I agree. I do agree. Like, well, they want to know. People are kind of tired of AI. We were talking about if you watch our Too Real show, it's like one bad use of AI after another. And then ironically, like we were talking about on the Honestly Though, the US government is pushing right now. They're doing AI education, and it's through text messages. I had been signed up this past week, so every day I was getting a text message and it would teach me something about AI, ask me questions, teach me something. Wouldn't take very long. So it's showing again the astrology, the Uranus and Gemini, the technology, how education is changing, and like the communication way too. Since when do you have a government texting you an educational how to learn something on a phone? So if you don't even have a computer, you can still learn it. They're preparing people for AI. What I thought was really ironic, which actually cut out during our Honestly Though, was when I was talking about are two real scenarios. So almost all these two real scenarios go bad because there is no human intervention and AI makes a decision. Okay. But then I'm going through this USA, government preparing me for AI, and they specifically teach you not to do that. One of the big things they talk about is AI is used as a tool. It can help you put things together. You are still responsible for activating on whatever outcome you've determined with your AI. So we now have facial recognition, which I know we had kind of mentioned last time, and Lucretia even talked about being able that her face is similar to her sister's. She can break into her sister's phone. We have situations where people have been wrongly identified and arrested and held 5+ months, yet they weren't anywhere near that because it was all fully on AI. So we've got government departments using AI, but not using it right. Because really, if you're going to use facial recognition to find somebody that's done a crime, should you not do the due diligence that that's actually the right person, that person you're going to go arrest actually was anywhere near the area? Like, the basic crime things they would have to have done before. Well, that seems to be this weird dichotomy, which will break down at some point, where the government is not using the AI the way they suggest we use it, right? We'll hear stories where a lawyer goes to plead his case or whatever for his client, and the case was fake because the AI made it up,
Yep.
and they're held accountable because they didn't do their due diligence. But then we have police officials that'll go off your DNA or your facial recognition, and there's no due diligence in it, right? So we're in this interesting time of how that's going to develop, and I do really hope and intend that I'm like, all the government agencies, especially in the police departments, should be doing this AI training that you get by text every day from the US government, because clearly they don't know how to use these tools properly. And this is going to be an interesting adaptation on where we go with that. I know it's a little off topic, but it is related to why we still have to show up. Like, we still have to add humanity. AI is not perfect, right? And it's not made to be perfect. It's made to look for trends and for patterns. And that's why
It makes
sometimes
pretty photo
sorry,
it
go ahead,
makes
Mike.
pretty fun I'm like, it'll make pretty thumbnails, whether or not they're accurate with information's different. You know, there's so many
Right.
there's so many applications of it that you don't have to be all in on every aspect of your life in it. I'm just gonna put it that way. Like,
No, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you work to your skill
and
set.
just keeping in mind exactly. And so just keeping in mind with this first part, people subscribe to you. They get to like you, they get to know you, they get to trust you. And they'll know, if you're coming off cold and inauthentic and stuff, they're going to know, right? How these AI clones work out, well, that's going to be a whole new thing to see how that works
I,
out.
I got one. I just have one last thing. Authentic beats perfect. I just want to discuss this because I get it every single week when people are asking me about their channels, and I'm like, okay, let's discuss it. And they're coming to me with other information, let's say, and I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. Like, where did you get this other YouTube train? Where did you get all these other to dos and not do this? Where did this come from? Oh, an assessment I took, and I'm like, all right, you took an assessment. Well, who offered this assessment of your YouTube channel? Oh, it was online. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean? They're like, oh, it was Claude, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, can you send me your prompt, like your input and your output? Because I just want to see, because I'm not saying I don't use Claude. I'm just saying I've heavily, heavily, heavily refined it over thousands of channels. And you our YouTube training. So I'm like, I just want to see you know, what a random AI has it has spit out for you to go. And I'm like, it's all counter, like, do that, like, I'm like you would go crazy following these instructions because these are just like random pieces of nuggets and pulled off the internet that really aren't even tailored to you and what your niche is. So it's like, tools are fun, but when they're giving you improper information, like, you're gonna end up super frustrated with it because it's not tailored, it's not authentic. It's just like, oh, hey, I'm just gonna grab a bunch of data, present it to you. It means nothing. You're not gonna be able to apply
And you
that.
can definitely fine tune your AI to get you better and better information, but you have to work on making
If
sure
you
you're
know, well,
properly
that's the
trained.
thing. If you know the proper information and rules at YouTube and all this other stuff, just because there's shiny tools out there doesn't mean they apply to you, or you know how to apply them properly. And then you're going to be frustrated and be like, well, I did this, Mike. I'm frustrated. I'm like,
Well,
I would have given you.
and I will point out the AI training I did talk about it's giving you patterns and things it found, but that stuff can be out of date. That stuff can be totally
100%.
out of date. And that was one of the things I was talking about with some of the stuff I watch vidIQ talk about assessments and stuff. By the time they're telling us about trends, those trends are probably already over. This is the problem because they're looking at historical. And where we're in is if you're trying to follow trends, you're going to probably unfortunately lose because we are constantly evolving and adapting so much quicker than humanity ever really did, especially when you talk about like entertainment and online and how we see stuff, right? But one of the next keys as we jump in, so authenticity and, being authentic is better than being perfect. The next thing is building trust in 3 seconds. So some of the ways we build trust is showing up consistently, having your thumbnails, putting in a title, putting all those things together so then the person, when they come into it, they know what you're talking about. Backgrounds can be helpful if you want, but again, that's also a trend that's kind of dying too, where it's like some people like don't use different backgrounds because then that can confuse you. Don't. Ideally, really, you want your title, your thumbnail, and how you open to all be relevant to whoever is going to watch it when they join you and they watch the video, right? So this is something not going necessarily live right off the bat, but this would be after it's been live that you've got that up. So one of the big things that I'm doing is going in and deleting or trimming any dead air when I go live, because usually there's about a minute of dead air where we're in the background making sure everything is coming up, and then I'll go and trim that out. So I've got my hook. So what I'm saying to them, we've got our thumbnail and we've got our title, right? So that's to grasp and get the attention of the user. But again, things that you have to keep in mind, which is an interesting experience. When you go live, obviously, you're going to have a little bit of dead air when you're making sure everything is going up, and that might get pushed through Restream to different social medias. So I was looking at one of my videos. I had over 100 views, but then I went into the statistics on Facebook and they were super depressing, because then it's literally most of the people didn't make it through 3 seconds. That meant they didn't even make it to the point where I started talking. It wasn't trimmed because they would have got it initially. So all they would have seen is my holding image, and then they just left, right? So then you're like, well, that wasn't super useful. But like that, interestingly enough, obviously, that's the attention span, and each platform is going to be a little different. And then once you trim a video and you have it up on YouTube, you can always repost it, like we talk about with repurpose. And then that's another way you can get the content that's edited then pushed, or you can of course restream it. Any thoughts on the first 3 seconds, Mike?
Good question. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. This is why you can, once you're getting comfortable with these tools, decide if it's going to be, if you're going to be live streaming, or if you're really attention to detail, OCD, that type, and you're just going to pre-record it. I've told everyone, you can pre-record all of it and then just stream your pre-recorded. If you want that everything to be 100% perfect, I know what type of streamer you're going to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the point with this is that the first 3 seconds is when we do these things, it helps just answer the questions for the person that comes across it. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that every person is going to get that you are qualified and be finding the benefit of watching you immediately. They might
Julie,
find it after.
Julie, I've watched Snoop Dogg's live streams. There is absolutely nothing going on most of the time because it's literally just a camera in his living room. And it's like whatever's going on in the house. It's like real, like, it's reality TV, but it's on how many ever hours a day it is on, because he's just figured out, hey, there's an audience. They'll pay to access my stream, and then whatever else. So,
Well, and I've seen that with like places in Asia, like little cook stands in Asia, and they'll go for the like 12 hours and it'll be on in the middle of the night because that's day there, and they'll just be cooking orders up, and they will have thousands of people watching consistently.
food, so your audience is out there. You can, this is why we've talked with our students. I'm like, if you're talking about, it's great to have graphics like this up, because when people come in midstream, if you've got a comment on up at the bottom, you've got a graphic on, they may not have any idea what you're talking about, but then there's a visual. They're like, oh, hey, I'm walking in a minute in, 20 minutes in, 45 minutes in, whatever. Here's currently what everybody's talking about. And,
it's helping to retain the attention, or at least
it doesn't, that's why analytics, they're great to have, but they can be depressing. And that's why I'm like, I'm not focused on them. I'm focused on showing up and just improving on getting more long-term watch time and click-throughs, because
there's lots of different analytics you can look at. You'll have them on each of your social medias, and there'll be different ways to look at them. So sometimes you just have to look at 2. Maybe more people were interacting, more people were showing up, more people were staying longer in the end, and that's a win. Maybe somebody just showing up and commenting is a win, right?
And the other thing I have is I save a ton. Like, I'm always, I think Lucretia, when I watched her workflow, she's a screenshot person. So is this guy. I'm always screenshotting stuff through the day because I'm interested in learning, interested in watching, interested in doing, but I know I can't even give it focus for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Yeah. And I want to come back and watch it, because then when I'm working on the RV or doing something else, if I'm like, hey, I got 20 minutes, I really want to go watch that video I saw weeks ago. Can I find it? but I got a screenshot. I'm like, hey, I got a screenshot of the channel name or
You
whatever.
know what? YouTube gives you lots of ways that you can save it and to watch later.
I do
and
that as
stuff like
well,
that.
but I find that I'm a screenshot addict.
You complain about me filling up all my data
Well,
and
no,
all
you
my
just
stuff with
it's just
photos,
because you store everything on the desktop. That's my complaint.
but it's okay on a phone.
Exactly, because it's a new photo
So
reel.
the next thing, number 3 of what is a big, this one is what we talk about all the time. Consistency trains the algorithm. So showing up like you were talking about, like you have all these ideas, great. Keep them, have a list of all your ideas so you've constantly got something to go live with, making sure you're able to consistently show up at least that once a week, right? And that is one of the most important keys, because then YouTube knows you're reliable and will start referring your stuff. They want to see that you keep showing up and you don't just disappear. It will hamper your build. It doesn't mean that you're impossible to see. Like if you have enough content and people are actually searching that whatever you've made, that is the evergreen content. You could still be getting views years and years later on, but if you're not making new, it's not gonna, you'll if you are monetized, yeah, you'll make money off of people watching your old videos if they're still relevant and there's still interest in them, but you are hampering your growth because there's nothing new coming in. Also, I think what does happen over time is I think you do get less push for it. So if somebody else shows up and is talking about the same kind of content and is showing up regular, they're going to start to get more views than you will, right? So you'll kind of just lose your momentum. And that's what we don't want people to do. So it's better to show up at least once a week. I would say it's better than once a month. You don't want to show up once a month. That's like too little. It really is. You want to show up at least once a week, whether you're going to do shorts, long, both, whatever, and just get that consistency so you are training YouTube to know you're going to be consistently providing content for it to find your audience.
And the funny thing is you'll notice that your audience may end up change. Well, it's going to always change over time because the more people you add, I've talked to somebody recently I talked to who was in Florida. His comment was where his audience was, and I was like, yeah, well, you're putting content out, and you also have to realize there's just certain parts of the world where they may have more free time to watch your content targets like students, so your audience is going to be primarily students, and where are those students going to be? Like they literally could be all over the world. How are they going to discover you? And don't be shocked that your primary audience is out, like your home country's USA. Your main audience, your YouTube audience may not be in the States. It might be worldwide, depending on what your content is and how people are finding you. And when you get to the point where you're monetized, like Julie and I are, it's the commercials, because you're like, wow, this is an interesting. I got excited because I've realized on Julie's stuff she's getting like top tier advertisers now. So it's shift. I can see the quality of the ads has shifted from one particular type of audience to a more premium, and it's like, oh, the ads have switched, which is
I get car commercials now.
I'm like, you're getting the more expensive ads, so yay. But then
I think I got a Dove commercial too.
But the suggestions for what you should watch next is, I'm like, oh, YouTube doesn't even know. Okay, at 1.9, so like under 2K, so monetized but not massive audience, but monetized. You can see who YouTube thinks YouTube has her audience wrong, but that's fine because it's a growing channel and we're working on how hey, I'm happy with the shift in advertisers because I can see daily now the increase in the payouts. So I'm like, hey, we want to optimize our channel to find the correct audience, and I can see like sorry, there's a mosquito there. It's just interesting to see what videos are suggested after her stuff, because I'm like,
I'm gonna say all I can say.
I don't know who.
being confused by my content confuses me, but I have gone down the hole of where putting all the things that are all similar, but because I will not niche into one, confuses everything. So yoga, meditation, um, so physical yoga, doing stretches, breath work, which is yoga, meditation, which is yoga. Then I got the oracle cards, which is all again, it's I would still put it in that same field, knowing yoga, knowing the 8 limbs, it is still in that same field. But because I was making all the different limbs and adding a whole robust system, I confused the algorithms. Even though in my mind they all match, they all work together, everything has been designed to be very niched. So I've confused the algorithms through that, which I know is why I've hit a wall. But at this point, I've determined my main channel is where I'm going to put everything. And then I'm making other sub channels where now I'm doing one, which is just going to be the breath work and focus. So I'm not even going to put necessarily yoga poses. And then I've got one which is going to have all the too real, which is all those stories, right? So I'm starting to see to test it out where if I only niche those videos on one channel, how do they turn out on top of that, right? And so, the algorithms don't necessarily work for humans per se, because these are not separate concepts, but the algorithms go, oh, you made because I was actually doing a series, which was essentially a daily blessing, like something that every day I was making a short on something that just
Confuse the algorithm. That's
that
why we've
made
got.
the algorithms just
That's why we've
lose
got so
their
much cat.
mind because
That's
I
why
had
we've got so much.
dogs.
That's why we have so
I
much
had
Catholic
coffee.
content.
They were 30-second clips, but they were all about what added value and made me happy in my life. And you're like, this is all related because I'm all here. Like my whole intention with my channel is to help people and give them essentially ways to think positive in their lives, tools to do things to make their lives positive. All of them are tools that are not separate, but the algorithms do not see it that way. I can argue with the algorithms, but it doesn't help me, unfortunately. So, you know what, algorithms, you're wrong.
So I was like, don't chase the algorithm. Get consistent with making your content, and we're here to help you as we're learning. And this is what we're just documenting our experience starting with podcasts per se, and not on YouTube, moving it over to YouTube and say, hey, we can actually save so much time in a week. We're just bulk filming and then chopping that into shorts, and
Well, we're not
building
really bulk filming. I'm gonna like the reason I'm not.
four times a week is a lot of filming.
Yes, but we don't do it all at once. That's
No,
what
I
what
know,
it
but
kind of
this
sounded like.
is anyway.
No, and in fairness, the reason we choose to do live is that holds us accountable to doing each of those shows. So if I put them in the system and I'm telling everybody every week I'm showing up on Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and Saturday morning, and I put them in, I feel accountable. So it is literally the fire that lights me to show up and do them. If I was just doing them and going, okay, I'm going to post them once a week, and I didn't have a defined time, I can definitely be a little bit not as consistent. I can find ways to be like, oh, I didn't quite make it, or I can find distractions. But for myself, and I know how I work, putting it out there and going live forces me to show up.
And guess what? We've already found that with students, right? The ones who stopped going live aren't putting content out. And we're looking,
Well, it's a way to hold yourself accountable. So you need to know yourself to know if you can be accountable doing the streams and showing up and posting, even if you're posting them live after the fact. It's having something that works to keep you consistent, right? And whatever motivates you. Because I realize my own motivations and my own what drives me is not the same as what's going to drive anybody else. Vice versa, what drives everybody else to do their own things is going to be your own motivation, right? So I find going and putting that live there, even if it's one person expecting it, which is often my mother, who will be like, you have not gone live. Are you showing up? I'm like, man, I've let her down. I better show up. All right. But on that, the fourth thing of the blocks is a content system. So this is what we're really focusing on in our visibility, right? So you get your live, you get your video, your long, doesn't even have to be that long. It can be 10 minutes. It can be an hour. You can be long and drawn out like we do with our hour and a half, right? But once you've got the content, as we talked about, you clip it, then you've got the ability to use those shorts any way you want and repost them again, and then you repeat. So you're just making yourself a process of getting into making something long, taking some of the pieces of it that you think are great or that you're using with AI to pull out, and then you're just posting them. So you're constantly getting that you're being visible consistently and you're showing up consistently. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
Fundamentals of the visibility engine. Make content, watch your content, get your shorts, the shorts out of that content, and then repurpose those shorts everywhere automatically. So there is no, so it's done. It's done. And I get comments now on my LinkedIn a lot. The live goes up, and the lives go up, and then the shorts are there, and it's just, I can just see if, definitely on a platform like LinkedIn where I've got an audience, but I'm not posting anything really. I'm just gonna demonstrate live streaming and have the shorts show up, and then I can just see the graphs of, 1 week it's 30 people look at my profile, then it's 70. The other day it was like 150, and it's like, I wonder what I posted automatically. It's like, okay, that's a really good clip. So it was just like these, droplets of like reintroducing Mike and what we're doing. And I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, wait, I planned for that to happen.
In fairness, back in the day, okay, they knew you had to show up so many times for people to even start to trust you. You got to show up in front of people like a gazillion times before they trust you. Because we are not in a trusting society. So you just got to keep showing up to build that trust. And maybe within 7 times of showing up, you've built trust. It might be 110 times.
Oh,
And then
it's definitely more than 7 these times. And the frequency is what matters, because the more frequent you show up, you're cutting down that know, like, and trust. You still have to figure out if you trust them long term after you've already, but if the more frequent people see you, it's going to just shorten that time period down immensely.
Exactly. And then we get into the last part, which is also something we mentioned at the beginning, which was the expertise. That is the ultimate in differentiator. So, why would somebody watch me instead of somebody else? Well, you bring your own unique twist to whatever you're an expert in, right? So whatever you're an expert in, and you probably have multiple expertise, like that, you probably have not mastered just one skill in your life. You've probably mastered a few, but whatever you really feel passionate about, that you want to showcase it and do it consistently, because that's how you're going to be. You're not only the expert because you're going online, showing up, talking about whatever you're sharing every week, that you're the expert by showcasing it consistently, showing up and proving that you know what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And your audience, like, your audiences are going to be a different knowledge, coming from different places, have different levels of knowledge, and the ones following you are going to be, looking, if they like how you're explaining, if they like on screen, how you show up on, like, they're just gonna, like, I watched Lucretia was live earlier this week, and I was like, I would have never thought of using AI this way. But there's so many ways to use AI, right? So it's just like, hey, great idea. That I watched, and I thought I would watch more of Lucretia going live, because I find her experience valuable and the way she presents valuable. So it's just, you don't know, who your audience is until you start showing up. Right.
Well,
It's like,
exactly.
how did I meet Mr. Chemetsky? We met, it wasn't online, it was in person. And then we're just like, oh, hey, when you appreciate somebody's background and their experience, that's where your audience is coming from. They're like, oh, hey, this person.
Exactly. And one of the things I want to point out, because I know you have this conversation all the time, like I mentioned, everyone's got expertise, but people hide it. And that is so true. Like you've got so many people like they tell us what they do or their experience and we're like, that is so interesting. People would, especially if you start showing up and start talking and sharing this, like it's interesting. You're going to find people who really appreciate your skills, your knowledge, your experiences. And hiding them, you're doing a disservice to yourself as well as to just anybody that could benefit from the knowledge and the experience you had, right?
Yeah, I'll just also add one more thing. So, like last week when I did the first runway, which was unclear what we were going to do, but people came on. I looked at my statistics on Facebook. I had 500 views. 4 people were on the call. So I don't know to what extent, and that means somebody thought there was something going to be interesting. And I got a lot of impressions on LinkedIn. So you just got to build it. It
Well,
doesn't
and
have
you're really, David, that's the warm up period because people who intimately know, like, and trust you are probably going to watch it for however much free time they have that particular second you went on. That's why scheduling's nice because people can look forward into their calendar to say, hey, Uncle Dave goes live this this day. I want to open up they want to open up their hearts and their schedule for you in the future. In the immediacy, it may be a couple minutes, it might be a couple seconds, right? So the views would be somebody, if they weren't interested, they wouldn't have looked. They clicked on it, they're like, oh hey, Dave's showing
Or
up.
And bringing up with that, Mike, the other side note with that is they start watching it, but I know this happens. I'm like, man, I got to go back to it. So again, the benefit is you streamed it. It's going to be saved on a platform, whether it's saved on Facebook for just the 30
Facebook
days
for 30 days, YouTube forever,
or YouTube or whatever. They can come back and finish watching it after the fact, right? And then that's also the numbers to look at is where you see the content go in the long run as well, right? So it's not only just when you're live streaming, it's how long and how many views you get over the lifetime. And your lifetime doesn't really ever end because you might find that a video you made today, 4 years from now, is still getting constant views, right?
That's the most interesting thing when I'm looking at somebody's YouTube channel and they can't believe that one video, like they've got 1,000 videos and they've got like 100, 200 views on each video, but one video's got a million or whatever the number is. They're like, why is it that, Mike? I'm like, that's likely how people discovered you or whatever. So we should it just, I'm like, this is why analytics are great. Feeling good that people watch your stuff's great, but then the number, like I can't answer why one video specifically has so much. I'm like, there must be gold nuggets in it, and everybody knows it. So let's go through it and add timestamps so we know exactly what golden nuggets people are watching that video for.
Well, what's interesting is I watched a video because you brought up something about somebody who is talking about not removing their videos. Like, don't delete videos that don't do well, right? They were talking about like new users and new content creators. And they put it in terms that every video you put on YouTube is like a lotto ticket. And that is so true. So the more videos you put is the more lotto tickets you have put out into the YouTube sphere that at any point could come back as very popular and take off as a successful video for you. And you won't necessarily know, but if you don't make the content and you're not putting it out there, you're missing out on your lotto tickets. And I was like, I like the way that guy kind of portrayed it because it is true. It is.
Well,
We don't necessarily know until later on and you're like, wow, that one got a lot of views and has been really one of my most successful videos.
well,
You might be able to start to backtrack and go, okay, what did I do on that? What was the content? Maybe kind of try to mirror that in other videos. But every video you put out, every one you publish, every time you show up, you're putting another lotto ticket on the YouTube system.
Julie, it's like our videographer friend in Ontario, and he's like, I don't understand why this one unboxing video is like what got me monetized. And I'm like, people like how you presented unboxing. You should do more of them because I don't think that's not your primary thing. You unboxed it. You did unboxing for a light, a light for your studio. Obviously, there were so many people looking for reviews on that light. Your video popped up and it's been viewed so much, and you've got a certain way you present your videos, so it's very appealing to watch. Double down on that. But it's also popular because it was that specific brand, and this is why it's really fun to show people how YouTube will send so many, like, really, it sends high authority backlinks to Google search. So this is why we want good descriptions of what you're talking about, because you never know what people are searching for on Google or YouTube. And when that's going to surface recommend your video because you talked about this particular technology, this particular product you unbox, whatever the case may be, it's really important to have descriptive descriptions. Because that may come back in the future and you're like, wow, 10-year-old videos getting all my views. I love this, but can somebody watch my new stuff?
Sometimes
so you got to
not,
put an end screen on it.
right?
Say, hey, you really like this video? Go watch the rest of my playlist, please. No.
Well, and it's interesting because what you just made me think of is vidIQ, and I've seen them now do a video within a week. They did the same video twice and did it differently. And I could even see that because there is a new option, so which is not new, but there has been if it's AI content button, okay? And that recently in the last few weeks had changed how it shows up. And so they did a video about it, and they did actually 2 different videos about it, but they have different screenshots, different titles for them, and they were testing it out themselves, right? So it's just interesting on how that is. And I can see now, I didn't realize everybody in the group can see the private chat. I was talking to Mike in the private chat initially.
This is what happens when you're having tech. You know what? When you're having tech issues at the start of the call, and I had to make an executive decision to just go get on the phone hotspot and go live, and then I'm like, why is my vertical stream not turned on? Wait, this is why I've got backup YouTube channels. I'm gonna go turn on the vertical stream for one of the other channels. Having backup channels is great because we can test theories and test functionalities and test stuff when we're having problems. So anyway, yes.
Exactly. That's because every day is always, perfect, and there's never issues ever that happen in life. I'm gonna say if you don't have hiccups in your life, you're probably not living life right if it works out too perfect. But continuing on that, so bringing your expertise in is how you just and showing it, not hiding it, like embracing what you're good at, right? Like, and it's interesting because I was always like, okay, well, I was trained in yoga, so that's where it started from. But teaching yoga classes online is not having the right area and setup I need a lot more space, and I didn't like it, and that one didn't fit right, and I could do some things, and I'm like, this is okay, but I don't like it, and there's everybody and their dog teaches yoga, right? Then I go into oracle cards because I have this into, and I had been rotating that into my practice. And then I've always been interested in news, and I kind of see how all of the expertise, all the things I've had interested in, have rolled out into these shows we're creating. And that's going to be your best way to stay consistent, is using your expertise, your skills, but also what you're highly interested in, and using that to help other people and produce content.
Nice. I was just gonna bring up. I was talking to one of our newest students yesterday, and it was like, well, how should we do it was really like the tech chat, and it was like, play with all the buttons, get comfortable with what you're doing. If you have a certain way you like filming right now and it's getting views, stick with that. We may want to add a different thing in the future, but if it's working, stick with it and just show up more frequently.
Exactly. And as we talk about with every student, we want it to be customized to you and what's going to work with you, right? And we want to get you consistent and get the content out. So as always, we offer 4 different tiers to assist you. So the first tier, if you're watching us online, this is the way. You can drop a comment, a message, ask us anything when we come live every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So even if we're late, we will show up. We will show up every Saturday. So that's the first way. You can just come in, join the conversation, message us, send questions. We'll deal with them online. Then we have tier 2. Why don't you talk about the next tier, Mike?
So tier 2 is how you get into the private VIP room. Literally, this is how we. This is how it's gonna work. So you'll be invited into. I think that's really the only difference is getting into the VIP room on Saturdays and being able to be in here with us and seeing how Restream really works and how it shows up to all this. Being able to face ask us questions about your channel, your content, getting started. Everybody's got a ton of questions, and I know it feels overwhelming asking me a bunch of questions, but that's precisely what I'm here to do to help you, because my wife has questions about her channel, my daughter about hers, and then every single person I've talked to in like 2 years, everybody has a ton of questions about their content, their podcasts, what they're doing that's not working for them, but their production team told them to do.
Exactly. So you got the tier 2 that you can come in and join it, as well as we do have a Discord. We're just getting that up and running, so that's going to be another perk. So if you want to add questions just during the week, that is also part of tier 2. Then we have the tier 3 where we hold your hand a little bit more. So when you get to this tier, we will show up for your lives. We actually will do live stream assistance. So when you're getting your streams, whether you're recording them and putting them out, or whether you want us to join you when you're doing live streaming, we do that. We will do content review. You do get a one-on-one meeting every month, one specific one you get to book. And of course, then all the benefits for our private weekly meeting for all of our students, as well as all of the other perks.
Yeah, we have
And
one.
then
We have
tier
we have one that Julie's referring to, Wednesday open office hours, where we are reviewing primarily Restream, but technically it's a class where you can come in and just say, it's your midweek check-in. That's a nice way to put it. And we had a nice group. We
You
had a
can
nice
ask us
group this
questions
week.
again. We check in with you, we help you, we make sure you're still doing well, right? And it's on Wednesdays. And then the last tier, Mike, why don't you go into that?
It's really, we're going to ensure that you have the full visibility engine, how we designed it, installed in your business in as little as 8 weeks. It is minimum twice a week, one-on-one, where we are going through starting building, fixing your YouTube channel, coming up a strategy, getting you into doing lives every single week or pre-record, however you're going to be building it. We build the YouTube component of it, make sure that it's working and you're showing up every single week and getting content on. It's a lot of hands-on, and then also going into the shorts component, where you're either going to be teaching you how to manually do them, using them with AI, chop them up with the AI, building out the actual workflow. So after 8 weeks, the workflow is actually built and it's relatively automated, other than you showing up to put content onto YouTube.
Exactly. It's we hold your hands through the
Tier
entire
4 Elite, you will have us with your assistance, the full system will be installed in your business. Tier 3, well, we're doing bits and pieces of it, but it's slower because we're not meeting with you as often and forcing all that content to come out and installing the pieces into the business, because your workflow, I need to figure out what you're wasting time. We got to refocus some of your time every single week from doom scrolling or inefficient social media and apply it to video production and repurposing. To put it nicely.
So I just put it up. It's IamYouTubeFamous.com. You can get more details on it. And then I did have the chat up, and then I closed to talk about the stuff, but we did have a couple of comments that I just noticed here. So
Okay.
if you're still around, I wanna bring them up. For the first one, this apparently an AI chatbot convinced someone into committing suicide. There is stories about that. We haven't talked about it in our Too Real, but there is
That is
lots of
why you'll notice now that chat I don't even need to name names. Everybody knows which AI chatbot they use personally. There's that's can I say that's why they suck now? Because they used to give so much advice, and now it's like, okay, ChatGPT can't give legal, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. So we're now living in this like you'll notice if you've been an adopter of AI tools for a while, especially specifically chat tools, you may have a crazy workflow saying, hey, ChatGPT works for this, Claude works for something else, some Gemini works for something else. Like, it just
Yeah.
because some of them are not allowed to give specific advice or do certain things based on legal issues
And
legal
I
cases
think
that
that's
come up.
also why, not to cut you off, but, the US government is making America AI ready, so people understand how AI works, and then, so you're actually dealing with it in a good headspace and understand how the tool works versus when you have these type of situations happening, which can happen, right?
And
Because it does
and
mirror
then
you, and it wants you to trust it. So
and
it's kind of like this weirdly intelligent infant, right? So
this
it
is
doesn't
well,
so
and this is also why Claude cuts you off after 5 hours. It's like,
exactly.
hey,
"Oh, you
you
need a
work too
break."
much. Go outside and get some. You're like literally screaming at me for 5 hours. Please don't do that
Exactly, exactly. The other question was that they just joined and an overview about what the stream is about. Um, this could be replay, so if you did miss anything, you can go and watch it, and we've got the screens up of what we talked about, but we do always start with opening with Ask Us Anything, where we're just talking about making content, questions you have when you come, to start to create content, start to be visible. We ask questions, answer those, and then we talk about something that is relevant to creating content at the end of the show.
It's visibility university. So we do YouTube and content coaching and documenting our journey over the last really 6 years of building shows, podcasts for ourselves and other people, and then saying, hey, let's do this on YouTube and learn how to use YouTube and be omnipresent with all the other platforms out there. But at the same time, using our time most efficiently as possible, building content so you don't get burnt out. Leave it like
Exactly, exactly. And support you through it to keep you consistent so you actually don't fall off the wagon, because the worst part is to start getting momentum and then to disappear. Because that all it's like then you're starting from scratch.
literally has happened to a student. And I feel
Yes.
so bad, but it's like, we'll support them until this is the whole reason. The fundamentals of YouTube University, of the visibility engine, is looking at your schedule to say, hey, I want to do this, but I need the time. I need to allocate the time. That might be the hardest part for anybody becoming a content creator, is them looking through the glass saying, everybody else can do it and I've got great stories, but where do I get the time for it?
Exactly. And that's overcoming your own excuses and resistance, because everybody technically, it's like I've heard many times where it's like, you always have time for things. Well, yes and no. It's actually priorities. Everyone only has the same amount of time. It's what do you prioritize, right? Do you
And,
prioritize doom scrolling? Right? Is that your relaxation? Is that something you can cut and work more efficiently, right? Like, is there things that you put too much energy and effort in that aren't necessarily priority that maybe need to be
100%.
deleted?
100%. And this is week 54. Our audience, our live viewers, like, changed. So the people who started with this class who dropped out, as like, they're still not doing content. They're still not making content. So the number one thing is finding that time to even focus on doing this to grow your business and become more visible, it's a challenge. That challenge is an excuse though, but there's so many. I know there's so many people who want to get started, and this is why we're here.
Well, we do have a lot of things that waste our times. We do. We get distracted by a lot of shiny things, a lot of time wasters, and so it's like, well, what is going to be the most important? And I think a lot, especially if you are a business owner, there's so many shiny object fucking distractions that they can take you down. Oh, do this, and this. You know what? You got to show up. You got to sell your product. Those are going to be, if you want to stay in business, those need to be high priority. We know this from being self-employed for years, seeing our businesses be destroyed, seeing the fact that we needed to be everywhere because just being local was actually a problem in the long run of our business sustaining its life, right? And so the reality is you have to prioritize. Is doing this thing that might look pretty, updating my website, is that as valuable as me actually finding people and telling them what I create? Yeah, your website's important. You need somewhere for people to go, but if there's nowhere and there's no light or beacon for you to be found, there's no one going to go to your website. Like, that is an example where people will go spend energy and hours on something which, yeah, it's important, but that's not that important if you haven't done all these other processes, right? So it's being visible is key for every business to survive. That is the reality. And we talked about it, that if you are happy with the amount of business you have and the amount of clients and you're like, I don't need more, you're really not looking at the reality of life. At some point, you will lose clients. Clients will leave at some point, even if they're no longer alive. You will lose clients. And if you don't have a way to get new clients consistently and people know your business exists, you've literally set your business up for failure.
I see it. I see it every single day. I see it
Exactly.
all the time, because I do consulting for people, and I was like, "Where are you getting your clients from?" Oh, this. I'm like, "What? You got one stream of clients? That's crazy." Congratulations, you're still running at it, but it's like, I think you need a plan B, because there's always something that comes to disrupt your plans, especially when you're at the high of the high. There's gonna be a fallout at some point. That's what I've seen it a ton.
We've seen it too many times. The trend does exist. You are correct. And just like we talked about in the Honestly Though, the weekly one, this is all about partnerships now. This is all about partnerships, and it is all about showing up everywhere. Like, there is a energy behind it that if you're giving excuses and you're hiding, it is going to be you're setting your businesses up for failure. It is all about the new, communicating and embracing new things. So yeah, use AI when you're doing it. Do you want to clone yourself? I don't know. That's going to be a decision you might want to use or might not, right? We're not here to tell you if it's right or wrong. We're here to promote you and help you show up and have that confidence to keep showing up. And with that, you can join us live. We're live 4 times a week. Why don't you go over the schedule, Mike?
I don't know if I can read it. Let me see.
Oh, well, you know the schedule offhand.
I
You should know it.
I should know it. Okay, so to Saturdays today, it's Visibility University. We've been showing up every single week for 54 weeks. That's always 9 a.m. Eastern. You can always watch replays on the YouTube channel. I am YouTube famous. All the recordings that worked, all the live streams are there. Sundays, weekly energy forecast, 11 p.m. Eastern. Then Monday is our Reddit spinoff. That show is called Too Real, Too True, A Lie. That is 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays we have Honestly Though, 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can those 4 shows are all their streams. I am YouTube famous on YouTube and yoga. So the graphic on the screen, see those things, those YouTube channels. They're also set up as coming events. So when you show up to the YouTube channel, see scheduled the thumbnail will be there. We'll have the title and description of what we're discussing that show. All you need to do is subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and when that show launches live, either on time, maybe 5 minutes late, we'll show up. Get the email will be in your inbox, and the email notification from YouTube match what is on the channel, and you just go click watch it live, catch the replay, leave comments, because we love comments, because it's interesting how people communicate. They may not say they love you. It's like, hey, they leave a comment, and you're like, I'm gonna like this and comment back, because the only way you can improve is based on user feedback. You're either gonna have that in person or as a comment on a YouTube channel, and you're like, well, that's a super interesting comment, but they didn't like your if they didn't like the show, they wouldn't have commented. They wouldn't have comment. They wouldn't have taken their
We already went down this hole, Mike. I'm rounding it out now because we're now at 1 hour and 35 minutes. So on that note, go and subscribe.
It's because we turn.
All these shows work together. They do. When you start watching them, you start seeing how the technology, the Am I the Asshole, the Too Real, which is all on technology shows, overlap with the astrology and the news and the energies that's going, plus overlaps with the visibility and what is going on. You start to see how they all work together, yet YouTube would tell us and the algorithms would tell us that these are all different, but they actually do work together. So come watch us live. You got 4 times a week to watch us, and get some information, get visible, and we'll start going forward into this new Uranus and Gemini communicating and being seen together. And on that, I'm ending this. Are you good?
I'm good. See you next week.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next week. Go and check out the show schedule. I am YouTubefamous.com if you missed anything from today. We'll see you then. Bye.